And it's my great pleasure this morning to introduce you to our speakers for the first plenary session of this conference, which is aptly titled Partnerships as a Cornerstone of TEPHINET Support to FETPs. As you know very well, TEPHINET is a network of 69 field epidemiology training programs working in more than 100 countries. And so we're a network, and network means partnerships. It's the bedrock of everything that we do. So on our 20th anniversary, we really recognize the fact that the success that we've had is all due to our partnerships. And we're very lucky to have a number of strong partners who are represented in this room. So the idea of this plenary session is just to have a few, key partners kind of talking about the value of partnering with TEPHINET, and then we'll open it up for some comments at the end of the session. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you our first speaker, who unfortunately could not be here in person, so she submitted a video of her speech. And that's Dr. Rebecca Martin from CDC. She's the director of the Center for Global Health at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta. The CDC and the Center for Global Health in particular is TEPHINET's major funder. We work through cooperative agreements with the CDC on implementing more than 50 projects. And so we really value that work, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to her video. So I'll hand it over to the AV team.
On behalf of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, leadership in public health workforce development. Thailand established the first field epidemiology training program outside of North America nearly 40 years ago. Today, that program serves as a WHO collaborating center for field epidemiology. We also commend Thailand for embracing its role as a global leader in public health workforce development, and for supporting regional capacity by training over 50 participants from other countries through its international FETP. 3 graduates from Thailand's first FETP cohort have served as WHO country representatives in the Southeast Asia region. This achievement is a testament to the impact of FETP in creating future public health leaders and Thailand's commitment to building a public health workforce. Thailand has also been a leader in promoting a One Health approach to field epidemiology training and workforce development. Veterinarians have been trained through FETP for many years to combat the rise of emerging zoonotic diseases. In fact, Thailand was one of the first countries to have a dedicated FETP for veterinarians. I would also like to congratulate TEPHINET on their 20th anniversary and on their success in working with CDC and countries around the world to advance applied epidemiological training that improves surveillance, outbreak response, and sustained development. TEPHINET continues to serve as a global leader and convener and plays an important role in supporting CDC's mission and strategy to advance disease surveillance and response and build a stronger workforce through regional networks like AFINET, EMFNet, RedSur, SafetyNet, and the Field Epidemiology Training Network, working alongside ministries of health and other partners to establish FETPs. FETP residents and graduates comprise a growing public health workforce essential to global health security. FETP alumni are working across the globe, and collaboration within this widespread network of disease detectives is critical. In the fight against diseases, time saved can be a life saved. This is why having a system in place where FETP alumni can rapidly connect and share information about their work is necessary. TEPHINET is this system. bringing field epidemiologists together at the global and regional levels, creating an international network of disease detectives who know how to take action against outbreaks. A stronger workforce, including a robust network of skilled disease detectives, is a cornerstone of countries achieving compliance with international health regulations and being able to respond to public health emergencies quickly and effectively. FETP is heralded as a powerful and essential engine for protecting the world. Over the past few decades, FETP has grown to reach over 100 countries, helping build a pool of trained epidemiologists who use data to detect and respond to disease outbreaks. Since 1982, CDC has helped train more than 10,000 FETP graduates from all over the world. Up to 80% of these program graduates continue to serve in their home countries, where they have responded to over 3,000 disease outbreaks and public health emergencies since 2005. We also support FETP Frontline Worldwide, a 3-month program that is having a remarkable impact in increasing the number of skilled disease detectives at the lowest level. Since 2001, CDC has supported 42 new FETP frontline programs, graduating more than 4,900 participants. FETP frontline trainees and graduates have actively participated in response to cholera, measles, yellow fever, and other potentially deadly disease outbreaks, identifying suspected outbreaks early and improving the standards for quality investigation. We all know that disease knows no borders. From Ebola in West Africa to Zika in the Americas, MERS coronavirus in the Middle East, South Korea, and the Philippines, and polio in Pakistan and Nigeria, outbreaks can and do spread rapidly, often with devastating consequences. Public health emergencies affect more than people's health. They impact economies, create instability, and threaten a country's national security. FETP-trained disease detectives are our frontline defenders and serve as an essential part of any nation's early warning system, stopping the next epidemic from taking root. Many FETPs are also working hard to improve capacity in non-communicable diseases such as cancer control, hypertension, obesity, tobacco control, and injury prevention. A strong public health workforce is not only critical to responding to public health emergencies efficiently and effectively, but also is vital to our other core goals of the global health security agenda, such as strengthening surveillance and public health laboratories. FETP is a critical force, training a highly skilled epidemiological workforce that are the boots on the ground during health emergencies. The value of FETP in global health security is clear and has been proven time and again across the world. For example, just a few months ago in the Democratic Republic of Congo, residents of the country's FETP program responded to an Ebola outbreak and were successful in stopping it before it spread across borders. 9 disease detectives from the DRC FETP participated in swiftly bringing the outbreak under control. The outbreak was stopped in less than 2 months, highlighting what is possible when countries are prepared. In May of this year, Liberian FETP disease detectives were involved in successfully tracking and investigating a meningococcal outbreak. Their quick detection and response helped limit the outbreak to 31 cases and 13 deaths. In Pakistan, FETP residents are part of the ongoing fight against measles outbreaks and are using the response as an opportunity to improve surveillance and vaccination efforts across the country. In Colombia, FETP is actively involved in studying risk factors for microcephaly among pregnant women infected with Zika virus. And here in Thailand, FETP residents assisted in the investigation of hand, foot, and mouth disease in the hill tribe villages of northern Thailand. They investigated and implemented prevention and control measures, successfully stopping the outbreak. While we may not know when or where the next outbreak will occur, we do know that FETP residents and graduates are trained and stand ready to respond and stop diseases from crossing borders. I am proud of the Field Epidemiology Training Program and its graduates serving in public health leadership positions around the world. This is a critical component of CDC's goals to advance global health security and save lives. Thank you for your commitment to public health and for being on the front lines of disease detection and response. Your passion and commitment to this work is invaluable, and you are our heroes.
So I'll begin introducing our speakers. If you could please come from the audience and take your seat at the table. Our first speaker is Dr. Kip Baggett. He's the chief of the Workforce and Institute Development Branch in the Division of Global Health Protection at the CDC. Our next speaker is Dr. Aftab Jasir. She's the group leader with the ECDC Fellowship Program and the head scientific coordinator for the European Program for Public Health Microbiology Training, or EUFEM for short. Our next speaker is Dr. Pierre Nabeth. He's an epidemiologist with the World Health Organization in Lyon, and he's also serving as the WHO's liaison on the TEPHINET Advisory Board. And finally, Dr. Patrick O'Carroll, who is the sector head of the Health System Strengthening sector at the Task Force for Global Health. Thank you, everyone. So I'd like to start out by asking each of you to provide some remarks about how your organization has partnered with TEPHINET and the value that that partnership has brought to your work. And I'd like to start with Kip, kind of following on from Rebecca's video from CDC. So from the CDC perspective, you know, what would you like to share about TEPHINET's value to CDC in tackling disease outbreaks, such as Ebola, or anything else that you'd like to comment on?
Okay. Hello, check. Thank you, Tina. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, TEPHINET and the TEPHINET Secretariat for organizing this meeting. I had the opportunity to be on the scientific committee, so I know the incredible amount of work that has gone into planning for the conference, and also to the Thailand Ministry of Public Health, who have just done an amazing job of hosting and getting us started in a very nice and auspicious way. I do want to just take a minute. I hope most of you were able to attend the opening session this morning, which was really amazing, and I think a great start to this conference, presided by the Honorable Minister of Health. And I think there was an appropriate amount of pomp and circumstance there, given the auspicious nature of this conference, celebrating 20 years of TEPHINET, and also Thailand being the host as the longest-standing FETP outside of North America. But one thing I hope that didn't get lost in all of that celebration was I think the most important reason that we're all here, and that is the individual FETP fellows, trainees, residents who will be presenting this week, and this is a unique opportunity for them to display what they've learned, for them to network, and for them to grow in their professional development, and then take that expertise back to their home countries where they make such a great impact. But to the question at hand about the importance of TEPHINET to CDC's collaboration and CDC's goals towards global public health workforce development, I think the value of that collaboration cannot be overstated. It dates back 20 years now, as you know, I was just reading about this, to a meeting that took place in Annecy, France, back in 1997, and I know Dionisio wasn't there, but I have this vision of him sitting around drinking wine and planning for the what TEPHINET is going to do. But that collaboration over the past 20 years with CDC has grown tremendously. I think to start, TEPHINET was really seen as a very important partner in the networking of FETPs as FETPs were developing and growing rapidly, and CDC was very interested in having a partner organization that was better positioned to be able to do that. And the other piece that I think was vitally important that TEPHINET brought to our partnership was the flexibility and ability to be nimble in responding to needs to implement programs and grow programs and grow that network, communicate to the network and bring people together like at conferences like this. That continues to be a vital part of our collaboration. I will say over the past years, especially the past 5 years, the collaboration has grown in its importance for more of the strategic piece of the collaboration. We have increasingly seen and want TEPHINET to be that strategic partner in the growth and development of FETPs around the world towards a goal of a stronger global public health workforce where we can make the greatest impact, because we do believe that public health workforce development is really the cornerstone of that strategy that's articulated in the Global Health Security Agenda to prevent, detect, and respond to public health events and prevent public health emergencies. So I really do want to highlight that that nature, that aspect of the collaboration between TEPHINET and CDC, because it has grown, and I think, as was mentioned in Dr. Herrera's opening remarks this morning, there are kind of 3 key areas around this aspect of our collaboration to highlight, and I think are important now and are just going to continue to be very important. And that is one around the networking, and specifically the alumni networking, and you're going to be hearing about the fruits of that effort this afternoon with a presentation on Taffy Connect. Also, working together on program quality and encouraging programs to pursue continuous quality improvement through the accreditation process, and that's something we work closely with TEPHINET on. And then I think something that Dionisio also mentioned this morning that I think is going to be an increasing part of our dialogue is the institutionalization of programs and working together to figure out the best way to really strengthen programs in a way that they are going to be living on and continuing to have impact long after the support from external partners. So that aspect of our collaboration, to me, fits under this category of being a strategic partner. And for those of you who were able to attend the program directors meeting on Saturday, I thought Miriam, the deputy director of TEPHINET, kind of summarized TEPHINET's role in a very nice way when she talked about TEPHINET's role and activities in terms of their networking activities, and then country level activities, and then individual activities like the individual trainee level. And those activities that I just described, I see as falling into those network areas, and I think that TEPHINET is uniquely positioned to be that global networker and global convener of FETPs. However, the role at the country level also is going to continue to be important in our collaboration, and I think this gets a little bit more specific to the part of Tina's questions about outbreaks, because that is the role, TEPHINET's role working with individual programs at the country level highlights their ability to be flexible and nimble and implementing things that need to be done quickly and with minimal amount of bureaucracy. And so the outbreak, I think, outbreaks is a very good example, and the one I'd like to highlight is the Zika outbreak over the past couple of years, because TEPHINET helped CDC to initiate a response to the Zika outbreak around workforce development that I don't think could have been done otherwise. Our branch received over $7 million in emergency funding for the Zika response in late 2016, and because of some of the restrictions on these funds, they had to be programmed by September of this year, fully programmed, and then fully spent by May of next year. There is no way that we could have executed these funds in an impactful way without TEPHINET. So TEPHINET was vital in stepping up and working with us to develop an implementation plan that led to standing up frontline programs or strengthening FETPs in 8 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, which was hugely impactful and allowed us to re-engage in a region of the world, frankly, that we had not been in as much as we would like over the past few years. And so this was a really important example of what TEPHINET brings to this collaboration and CDC's ability to carry out its global public health mission around workforce development. In addition to the frontline programs, TEPHINET was also able to execute mini grants, where these are small grants that allow individual residents to pursue meaningful projects to address priorities around Zika in various countries, another activity that we would not have been able to do at all without TEPHINET. And let me just mention 2 other outbreak-related areas. Ebola, of course, is an area where we also had a collaboration with TEPHINET around the training program called STEP, which was a precursor to frontline FETP, which we needed to rapidly establish and implement in West Africa. TEPHINET was a key partner in that activity as well. And then finally, a little bit less acute, but an important public health situation nonetheless is polio. And this speaks to the broader collaboration between CDC and TEPHINET, not always specifically directed towards FETP, but TEPHINET is a critical partner in CDC's efforts toward global polio eradication, and so I think I would be remiss in not mentioning that here today. So with that, I'll stop and move on to the other speakers. Thank you.
Sure. So following up on a little bit about what you said about program quality improvement, I think Aftab is well positioned to speak to some of that because of your dual role as member of the accreditation working group, accreditation faculty, as well as representing the European programs. And so from your perspective, how has TEPHINET worked to improve training program quality, and how has it helped build capacity in Europe? If you could speak to some of that.
Thank you very much. I would like first to thank you, the organizer, in particular TEPHINET, but also our colleagues from Thailand for this fantastic meeting. I would like also to deliver a message from our director, Dr. Andrea Amon, who sent her warmest greeting to all of you. And I asked her if she had a couple of wise words to tell me to deliver to you, and she said only keep good work you are doing, and she feels with us here despite not physically be able to participate, but reminded us of a good work we had during the Mexico conference. So going back to your question, Tina, and the relationship between our program, ECDC, and also TEPHINET. So it goes long back. Before ECDC was established in 1995, EPIET program was established, and it was part of the European Commission, but not part of ECDC. Only 2 years after establishment of EPIET, TEPHINET was established, and from the beginning, EPIET was one of the members of the TEPHINET. So in 2005, after establishment of ECDC, only short after, EPIET was transferred to ECDC and continued to have a stronger relationship with TEPHINET, both as a program in field epidemiology, but also ECDC as a center for prevention of disease and intervention of the disease in European level. We have been engaging ourselves as a member, as a FETP, member, but also as other members, like being a member of advisory board of TEPHINET, and have been contributing, but also benefiting of engagement in the strategic plan that TEPHINET is making. Recently, I think since 2012, I have been honored to be in accreditation working group and working with improvement of the quality of FETPs by developing standards and indicators. That 5 years actually was a big journey for us, together with TEPHINET and other members of the accreditation working group, to make sure that our FETPs can be accredited in order to actually have a minimum good function that is necessary to contribute to a good work in the field. And this has been a big challenge for TEPHINET, of course, but it has been also a privilege to be able to start one of the biggest achievements that could be now has started, but could be also one beautiful day extended to all the training programs around the globe. Talking about EPIET will bring me also that actually in 2008, EPIET got a sister program called EUFEM, which is the European Public Health Microbiology. And we were the first actually in the globe that we started to think about some of the experience we learned during the interaction with TEPHINET members. Those who had a laboratory part in their program, FETP, but they explained to us what are the challenges that they have by having a laboratory part but still not being able fully to use that part in the laboratory. And by learning from the challenges that this program had, and during the TEPHINET director meeting, during the TEPHINET conferences, so we tried to actually to learn and try to develop a program that could be very close to field epidemiology, but in the same time being hand in hand going and working better than if it was integrated. So since 2016, these two programs became two paths. The reason for that is that we believe that a good work in the field needs a multidisciplinary action. It needs interdisciplinary actions. And if we are not working very close to each other, we might not understand the problem, and we might not be giving enough support that is addressing the particular problem. And I do hope that we will continue to do that, and will be inspiration as others already started to have laboratory leadership program as is at CDC. We are very happy to see that development, and also seeing WHO also planning to have that. Going back to accreditation, so where we are and how we can actually contribute to that work, fantastic, beautiful work that you started at TEPHINET, I have to mention that we see that as a positive progress, but we need also to think about not becoming a scare that this is about success or about the failure. This is about looking at what we have and how we can improve. And this is the, I think, is the goal of TEPHINET, has been thinking about how they can help the FETP programs to actually develop to a level that they can have a full function in public health. And I would be not, maybe I will be interpreted as a bias, being part of this working group, but I can speak only from my professional experience that this is one of the biggest achievements of TEPHINET, to actually starting that progress for long before, but continuing having that cycles by cycle going, and seeing many countries already or programs they are applying for that, accreditation process. And we do hope, with the help of all the programs around the globe and feedback from the reviewers giving to us, that we will be able to do a better work, and we will come to a point that, as was development of the international standards for all the laboratories, we will be able to do that also for all the training programs. And we are very pleased to be part of that as ECDC, partner to TEPHINET, and we are actually feeling privileged to be contributing to that work. So that's in particular. I'm not going to repeat what you have been saying. KIP is always not easy to be the second person or a third. I don't know how Pierre will manage that, being the next, but it's all the good work of TEPHINET has been already mentioned by previous speakers, so I'm not going to copy all those, only focus on one particular work, and congratulate TEPHINET for that beautiful work of accreditation.
So Pierre, could you share with us a little about Taffy Nut's work with WHO and supporting GORN, which is the Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network?
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank TEPHINET and the Ministry of Health of Thailand for inviting me to this 9th conference. There is a long history between TEPHINET and the World Health Organization. As you know, we are celebrating this year the 20 years of TEPHINET. TEPHINET was created in 1997, jointly by the CDC, by the Merieux Foundation, and by WHO. In the afternoon, there will be a specific session on the 20th anniversary, and you will see a video that was recorded by Dr. Genaël Rodier, who was one of the initiators of TEPHINET at WHO. Personally, I started to take part of TEPHINET during the 4th Global Scientific Conference, which was held in Brasilia in Brazil in 2006. Since, WHO has supported TEPHINET and has been active in providing guidance through the TEPHINET Advisory Board, together with the FETP representatives and ECDC and the CDC. WHO has contributed to the organization of the first meeting when TEPHINET was created, but also to several directors' meetings and to global conferences. In Lyon, we organized at least 3 directors' meetings since 2005. During one of the directors' meetings that was held in Lyon, the work on the accreditation, the FETP accreditation process was initiated, and you know that this process this activity is one of the main activities that are conducted by TEPHINET. WHO has always taken advantage of the participation in global conferences because it is a good opportunity to assess the quality, the improvement, the increasing quality of the training that is given during the FETPs, and also of the studies that are presented by the fellows. Global conferences are also a good opportunity for improving the tools that are developed by WHO through the organization of workshops that precede the conferences themselves. Because during these workshops, we can collect feedback from directors, coordinators, but also from students on the relevance of the tools that are developed by WHO. I will take as examples the workshops on the integration of laboratory and epidemiology that was organized in Kuala Lumpur in 2008 and in South Africa in 2010, and that have led to the development of a specific CD-ROM training module on the CD-ROM that has been widely disseminated. I will take also the example of the workshop on the IHR toolkit for epidemiology for epidemiologists that was organized in Amman in 2012, and that has permitted to develop training material on IHR that is now available on the WHO website. So this type of collaboration with TEPHINET is continuing, and yesterday we also organized a workshop, and it was on also on the new toolkit that we are developing. This toolkit is about the development of guidance for developing national training plans for surveillance. So it was a very fruitful meeting, very active participation, and it has permitted us to improve the toolkit, and we hope to be able to launch it in the coming weeks. Training in epidemiology cannot be limited to the 2 years FETPs, because these FETPs request a lot of resources, either human resources or money. And the 2-year FETPs don't permit to train all the workforce that is needed to implement a good surveillance in countries. So, but, well, even if they are not sufficient, they are key to develop a critical mass of very skilled people who have the capacity to conduct all the epidemiology-related activities in countries, and also to train people in their countries. And the 2-year FETPs are well recognized by WHO, and this is why existence of FETPs is one of the criteria that is taken into consideration by the joint external evaluation. This is the process that is developed jointly by the Global Health Security Agenda and WHO to assess the national IHR capacity. So existence of FETPs is really one of the criteria that is taken into consideration to see if there is the capacity to train the workforce for surveillance in countries. The importance that is attached by WHO to FETPs can also be demonstrated by the involvement of WHO in the creation of FETPs in Morocco, in Central Africa, in West Africa, in the Indian Ocean, in Iran, or in Turkey, as well as in the Western Pacific region. However, as I said, training in epidemiology cannot be limited to the 2-year FETPs. And we think that the admission of the newly created frontline FETPs or intermediate FETPs, which are shorter but with a very high quality, is really a good choice that was made by TEPHINET. TEPHINET is a network, and as such facilitates access to national training programs and to individual graduates. This is particularly interesting for GORN, the Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network. So GORN, this is a technical partnership which is coordinated by WHO. It provides technical support for alert and outbreak response, and it gathers more than 200 institutions in the world. GORN is guided by a steering committee. TEPHINET is a former member of this steering committee, and currently AMFNet and AFINET, which are the regional networks in Eastern Mediterranean region and in Africa, are current members of the steering committee of GORN. Many FETP fellows have contributed to the GORN activities, and they have been deployed either during the Ebola crisis or during the MERS coronavirus crisis. So as you see, there is a love story between TEPHINET and WHO, and that is not about to finish, as we have other planned activities that I think we will have the opportunity to discuss later. Thank you.
So you just said there's a love story between TEPHINET and WHO. Earlier, Patrick said that he feels like the adoptive parent of TEPHINET, so there's a lot of interpersonal relationships there. A lot of love. So Patrick, so earlier, so you oversee health system strengthening at the task force. And so in your perspective, how does TEPHINET fit in with that vision that the task force has of strengthening health systems around the world, and what is the value of TEPHINET for the task force?
Well, thanks, Tina. And hello, everybody. Hello again. Thanks to my colleagues for their comments. I'll try not to repeat some of them, but when I want to tell you about the value of TEPHINET to my organization, the Task Force for Global Health, let me start first by saying that for many people who aren't in public health professionally, if we're known at all at the task force, we are known for our vertical programs related to specific diseases. For example, we work to prevent and control river blindness and trachoma and intestinal worms and lymphatic filariasis. And the average citizen reading an article in the newspaper can understand those things very well. And it's very compelling to think that we're going to go into a village and treat everybody for trichiasis and stop the spread of it in that village, at least for a brief time, while our partners in WHO and elsewhere work on the water and sanitation systems. That's an understandable thing. Building capacity and strengthening health systems through programs like TEPHINET is less easy to understand. But let me say that some years ago, our board of directors decided that in addition to our vertical programs, we as an organization had to make sure that our family of programs worked hard to strengthen capacity in countries for public health, not just working on specific diseases, that it was intrinsic to our mission to build that capacity. And in that respect, TEPHINET is our flagship health system strengthening program. And let me tell you why. And in telling you this, you'll see why it's valuable to me, but I also want to give you perspective on your work, which I know you know is valuable for what you do, but it may be valuable in a way you haven't thought about yet. So when I say that TEPHINET is our flagship program, what I mean is that for me and for our task force, it's really a model for health system strengthening. A model that I hope to apply in other kinds of workforce development and health system strengthening fields, such as information systems and information systems management, or public health informatics, if you will, such as laboratory capacity, such as animal health and environmental health and so forth. As we think about building global capacity in public health for those different fields, how can TEPHINET be a model for us? And here's some of the attributes that, for me, make TEPHINET a model. First of all, obviously, it's a complex collaboration involved with a global outreach, a global reach. That doesn't happen overnight. In fact, that happens one program at a time. And we're shortly going to be up to 70+ programs, reaching over 100 countries around the world. That's a lot of hard work. That's a lot of long-term investment from our wonderful US CDC, who supported this over the years throughout the world, by program directors, regional, to help build and support these programs. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is a model for how you build a complex collaborative that has a global outreach. That's one respect. A second one is it's a project with clear standards. We don't simply give a grant to a country and say, please train your folks for field epidemiology. There are clear targets, clear capacities, clear abilities that trainees must learn in order to graduate from a field epidemiology training program. That is the kind of thing we understand and strengthen those. The TEPHINET project is guided, and in fact, many of our programs have a similar expert committee. There's a MECDESAN expert committee, for example, that decides how the drugs that are donated should be used, when and where, and how to make sure they're safe. And we, in TEPHINET, have such an expert committee in our advisory board to guide the kind of work we do, the projects we undertake, how to end in itself. It's a process by CDC through the task force and through all the regional collaboratives. Another element is the focus on lifelong learning. It would be great if we just supported each program to do great work and to do terrific training. We could put a full stop and that would be wonderful. But how much better to build systems that allow us to learn from each other, that allow neighbor countries to learn from each other through projects like TEPHI Connect, through meetings like we're having now, where we get to meet in the hallways and learn from each other, how to write the grant, how to recruit talented people, how to keep good mentors, and so forth. That focus on constant improvement and lifelong learning among our graduates, I think, should be a standard in any of our health system strengthening projects at the task force. Two final points I want to say that really make this a real flagship for our organization when it comes to health system strengthening. One is a deep and abiding respect for our partner organizations, from the top down to the smallest village. And when I say the top, I start with our US CDC. Obvious respect for our partners there who visualize and guide as well as support the FETP programs around the world. But deep respect for our partners at the regional level, our partners in country, all the many partners that support them, the mentors that support them, our consultants, because each of them brings a knowledge of the culture and the possibilities as well as the limitations that each of those countries and each of those communities faces in building your FETP programs. I would hope we have the same deep and abiding respect for partners in any of our health system strengthening programs as we develop them at the task force. And I want to close on a more, I guess, narrow point, but very important to me, and that is I hope in any of the projects we build at the task force, we will have the same level of mission orientation and dedication among the staff. I wish you could see the long hours and the intensity with which our TEPHINET staff work every day to make this the best possible network it can be. They understand the value of the work that you do, and they feel the pressure to be the very best they can be and support you in the very best way they can. They work really hard to respond to the ideas and energy that CDC generates, the opportunities that come along. And those opportunities are often come along with a lot of high stress and short time frames, such as the challenges presented by the Zika virus epidemic. But I want you to know that the staff at the task force really do everything they can to stay on point, to never lose sight of the mission, and they work really, really hard. So I tell you all that because that's what brings value to the task force, from my point of view, for TEPHINET, and I hope it could be a model for any of our health system strengthening programs.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to pose a second question and ask each of you to speak to it for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll open it up to the audience to chime in as well. But that question is, in your view, looking into the future, what would be your recommendations for how we can make TEPHINET stronger? You know, not just TEPHINET, the Secretariat, but also the network. You know, what are some challenges that you see, or you know, ways to make it more effective?
Oh, should I start? Okay.
And we can start with Kip and go down.
Sure, okay. I get to go first again. I think what I would say in terms of challenges, or perhaps what I see as a very important challenge, is inherent to what I said in my initial remarks related to the way I described the value of TEPHINET to CDC, and that is finding out the most effective way to strike a balance in being a partner with meeting these strategic long-term goals related to development of strong quality FETPs that sustain in countries over time and continue to have long-term impact, with all the parameters that Patrick described in his remarks, balancing that need and desire, that very important goal, with also being able to still be flexible and nimble and respond to public health emergencies, because being that long-term strategic partner requires having a stable, talented staff, a team with technical skills, managerial skills, communication skills, that can really think long-term about how to achieve these goals, but then also being able to scale up when needed, when there is the next public health emergency. And as much as I would like to say otherwise, they're going to continue to have CDC knocking on their door for public health emergencies that we're not well equipped to manage and expend funds, so we will need their help in those situations, and that requires the ability to have a different type of footprint, a different type of staffing model and skill set to be able to respond to those things at the same time. And I think also requires potentially down the road, as we think about the need for diversification of funds. The realities of U.S. government funding, I think, as everybody knows, there are no guarantees, and funds go up and down with the priorities of the day. And so I think inherent in this challenge and dealing with this challenge is the need to have some diversification of funding. I think the other aspect or other piece to helping to respond to or prepare for a challenge like that is strengthening the network not only of the FETPs, but with the other partners and specifically the regional networks, the AFINET and SafetyNet, EMFNet, RedSOAR, and making sure that roles are clear and well defined as we think about long-term strategies to achieve the things we want to achieve in global workforce development. Just figuring out clear roles in that collaboration with those other networks that are also so vitally important to achieving these workforce goals. So I'll stop there and turn over to Aftab.
Thank you very much. So I would like to actually turn this question to something positive. What is, we have positive challenges to actually towards future, not ignoring that it will be also struggling challenges as well, but I would like to focus on two very important parts that are my area as well and what we are doing, and I'm actually blessed to be part of those activities in TEPHINET. Going back to accreditation and what Kip already mentioned about the quality, and Patrick and other colleagues, and about the quality, coming from a program, a single program with almost largest program in the world, by 27 countries being member and over 60 training sites, I am fully aware about diversity. And I know this diversity actually brings a lot of challenges, but also a lot of values. And I would like to emphasize on the platform that TEPHINET has created around the globe. And with having so many programs coming from different culture, different way of working, so now this is a positive opportunity rather than a big challenge to bring quality in a level that everyone can actually benefit from what you are providing to, meaning accreditation. So accreditation should be a positive encouragement toward increasing the quality, not as a process that can bring people in stratification to see who is good or not. And we know by being a diverse program around Europe that we learn from each other. Our fellows are learning from each other. And TEPHINET is a platform bringing all the program directors here and exchanging the experience that we have from each other. So gives the opportunity actually to learn and also try to improve what we need to improve. So please keep that good work of being a good platform of all the programs to come here in the future, and continue with the good work of accreditation. And we should not give up because we need to update or we need to go back sometimes and modify things. And one thing that in relation to accreditation, I would like to see TEPHINET emphasize on it, to train our program directors and also train our reviewers in a way that they can understand the indicators and the standards, that they are not to create barriers. They are there to actually to provide help and to provide sort of actually emphasize on quality. The second thing that is also something I have been doing with establishment of the public health microbiology path of the ECDC fellowship. I would like to see actually in the future that TEPHINET becomes also a platform of bringing that experience from those programs that already have initiated a leadership in laboratory, including CDC and ECDC fellowship, to share that experience with the other programs, that actually we are in the place that microbes are not only working in one way or another. We need to bring different disciplines together, and we need to work hand in hand in order to be more quick, to be more efficient, and also to be able to handle all these events coming from the best way that we know, with engagement all the suitable and qualified people in that. So we are happy to be part of that and help in the future, providing, as we did with other programs, the core competencies, but also what challenges we faced during the journey of 10 years almost with establishing the laboratory part, or we call it public health microbiology, with other programs who are a member of TEPHINET. So I hope that we will see, and as far as I am alive and being a member of TEPHINET, I will be happy to be part of this development together with other colleagues who are really emphasizing on that.
And the main challenge that I see, this is mainly related to the fact that there are more and more actors who are involved in global health, with the risk of duplication and of confusion for countries. So in fact, what is needed more than ever, this is a good coordination between all the actors who are involved in global health. And TEPHINET is one of the key actors, because in fact, in TEPHINET you have a good representativeness of ministries of health, but you also have CDC, you have ECDC, you have WHO, who are the main contributors to global health. We have planned activities. WHO has planned activities with TEPHINET in order to improve this collaboration and this coordination. Right now, I was talking of GORN, the Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network. The GORN is currently developing a training package to ensure that professionals that are deployed through GORN have the skills to respond to the emergencies in the field. This training package is developed jointly with TEPHINET. I think that Aftab, you are involved in the development, but I know that also Fatsila from Malaysia is also very much involved in this. So if you need more information about it, you can contact them or Dionisio. They can contact you.
Thank you. It's time also for me not to forget to thank all the accreditation working group members who really in long term, they have been working with that process. They are not all here except Fatsila and Mohamed, I think, but it has been a long process thanks to all members.
Okay, I see TEPHINET and the regional networks like AMFNet, TAFFINET, SafetyNet as structures that can make the link between field epidemiology, between the FETPs, the national FETPs, and the WHO. I'm not sure that right now we could list all the people who have been graduated through FETPs, where they are, what positions they have, what expertise they have. So there are currently more than 10,000 people who graduated through the FETPs. The current initiative of TEPHINET, which is called TEPHI Connect, and that plans to establish a database with all the people who have been graduated through the FETPs, is really an excellent project. And it will, because it will help in the identification of experts that could contribute to the support that WHO is providing to countries. FETPs are a stock of knowledge and expertise that is coordinated by TEPHINET and by the regional networks. Accessing these competencies will ease the role of WHO in providing assistance to countries to respond to emergencies through ground, for instance, but not only, also to build capacities in countries. You know that the international health regulations were adopted in 2005. They entered into force in 2007. There are a number of capacities that have to be implemented in countries and that are not yet implemented. So in fact, there is a lot of work to do at the country level in order to implement these activities. And I think that we should rely on the expertise of the FETP graduates to do it. I see different, as I said, collaboration is key, and I see a lot of different areas where we could improve the collaboration between TEPHINET, FETPs, and WHO. WHO is a potential training site for FETPs, so I'm not sure that right now there are FETP fellows who are admitted in WHO offices, but I think it would be a good idea to send FETP fellows in WHO offices, either at country level, at regional level, or even at headquarters level. FETPs and TEPHINET could also provide a consultant with a specific expertise for specific projects that are conducted by WHO in support to countries. FETPs could also contribute to the development of guides and tools that are proposed by WHO. As I said, the workshop during the global conferences are really a good opportunity for WHO to get the feedback from epidemiologists who work in the field, but the global conferences, this is only every 2 years. So if we could have it more frequently, it would be better to try to find a mechanism to involve FETPs and also TEPHINET and the regional organization in the development of the guides and tools by WHO. And so I also introduced the JEE, the Joint External Evaluation Process. So this is a JEE. This is part of a framework that has been developed by WHO. So it is called the IHR Monitoring and Evaluation Framework. So JEE is part of it. So FETPs and FETP fellows could contribute to this mechanism, to this JEE. But the IHR Monitoring and Evaluation Framework includes also other components. And one of them, this is the development of simulation exercises. And I think that we have the expertise in FETPs and in TEPHINET and in regional networks to develop these exercises. And I think that we should also find mechanisms to develop the collaboration between WHO and FETPs on this specific topic.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to think about how to strengthen TEPHINET going forward. But I want to first say that I agree with everything my three brilliant colleagues just said. And I won't repeat it all, but I hope Dionisio and Miriam are taking really good notes, because those are great suggestions. In particular, I want to second the comments about making sure we coordinate better. And to use my metaphor of the family one last time, if you have 1 or 2 children, it's pretty straightforward to manage your household, to get the kids to school, to get them off to football afterwards, to pick them up, and so forth. If you have around 70 children in your family, it's a lot more challenging. And so I think this 20th anniversary is an opportunity for us to take a breath and think about how we can better organize the way we support all the FETP programs around the world and the many more that we hope to bring on in the coming decades. So, in fact, the task force is very eager to find a way to support that process and perhaps host a meeting where we work on that very subject. But what I would like to add to the conversation, and perhaps it's been referenced a little bit already, is I think that TEPHINET should add to its list of things that it's working on, the quality, the peer learning, the communications, those things I talked about earlier as part of their mission. I think we ought to adopt as part of our mission to help the FETP programs become fully institutionalized in their countries. And that word institutionalized may mean different things to different people. It certainly can mean finding their own niche for support within country, but that's not the only thing I mean. And in some countries this has already happened, so you may wonder why I'm talking about it. But there are many FETPs that are not well integrated into an overall architecture. And the focus on training is clear-cut, and there's a heads-down, get-it-done mentality that really helps to train terrific fellows and residents and turn out very well-educated and very capable field epidemiologists. But we want to make sure that that's occurring in the context of a broader public health architecture for that country. So it's clear what career path FETP graduates have. So all elements of that public health system know what value there could be for them in employing a field epidemiologist. So I think this idea of making sure that we know and we work toward making the training program an institutionalized part of a nation's public health infrastructure should be part of our goal. We wouldn't, for example, want to have a medical school that was turning out trained physicians, but it wasn't clear, nobody really thought about where they were going to go and whether we really needed that many trained physicians or hadn't thought about where we needed those trained physicians. There's a larger system in which this is occurring. All of you know this, but when you're busy running a program, you often don't have time to work on this. I think we in TEPHINET need to think about how we can be of assistance in that process through partnering with WHO and partnering with the IONFI project and many others who are thinking of the same thing. How can we make sure there's a larger architecture in which the field epi training programs fit very nicely and that everyone understands what their various roles are in that larger architecture? That's something I'd like to see us work on.
Thank you. So in the interest of time, we're about 10 minutes over, so we're going to save the audience Q&A for the 20th anniversary of TEPHINET session that takes place later. I think there are a lot of overlapping themes, so we'll give people an opportunity to chime in then. But I wanted to wrap it up and thank you all very much for your comments. I think they were very insightful and gave us a lot to think about the role of TEPHINET in the past and in the future. So give everyone a round of applause. So we're going immediately into the oral presentation sessions, which are taking place across 8 different rooms on 2 different floors. So on the first floor and the second floor. The Chiang Mai rooms are on the second floor and the boardrooms are on the first floor. I've been asked to read the schedule of the 8 rooms and who the moderators and judges are going to be. Is that correct? Should I still do that? Okay, so I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name, but in the Chiang Mai 1 room on the second floor, the moderators are Peter Aduwui and Mame Amoade. The judge is Simon Nyuvura Antara. In the Chiang Mai 2 room, also on the second floor, the moderators are Jermaine Bukasa and Wan Chin, and the judge is Salomon Corville. In Chiang Mai room 3, the moderators are Iris Emile de Broy Franco and Richard Dicker, and the judge is Sahar El Shurbagi. And then Chiang Mai 4 room, the moderators are Juan Mansour Hamza and Noshin Gombe, and the judge is Mariam Gelashvili. And then Chiang Mai 5 room, Dionisio Herrera and Aftab Jasir are the moderators for that, and the judge is Ditu Kazambu. And then moving on to the boardrooms, which are down on the first level. Boardroom 2 has moderators Conchi Rosas and Biagio Pedalino. There's no judge listed for that one, so I'm not sure. Boardroom 3, on the first floor, the moderators are Dilyara Nabriova and Carl Reddy, and then the judge is Tatek Bogali Anibesi. And one last room, that's boardroom 4. Moderators are Nyambe Sinyange and they started to write someone's name, but they didn't finish, so I'm not sure who the other person is. And then the judge is Oscar Metzones Lapuble. So if you heard your name, that's where you're supposed to be. And so after the oral presentations, we'll break for lunch, which will be served on the ground floor. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.